UI7 News. President Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, gives us a 7-hour testimony laying out his history with his ex-client.
With Cohen making headlines in Washington, Trump was in Vietnam as a deal with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was cut short.
And the Chicago mayoral election was Tuesday, but we will see a runoff election in April.
UI7 News starts right now.
From the Richmond Journalism Teaching Studio at the University of Illinois campus, UI7 News, your U of I news source.
Good afternoon. I'm Will Most.
And I'm Will Gerard, and this is your UI7 News.
Michael Cohen officially testified to Congress that the president has lied about business dealings and his personal life. Omar Jimenez has highlights from the hearing on Capitol Hill.
Protecting Mr. Trump anymore. Since taking office, he has become the worst version of himself. He is a racist, he is a con man, and he is a cheat. Of a $35,000 check that President Trump personally signed from I will explain each in a few moments. He asked me to pay off an adult film star with whom he had an affair, and to lie about it to his wife, which I did. And I did that too, without Mr. Trump knew from Roger Stone in advance about the WikiLeaks drop of emails. Introduce to everybody here today the next president of the United States. I love it. Go ahead, shoot. He lied about it because he never expected to win.
Oh, here's what I see. Here's what I see.
I ask unanimous consent. You out and getting your sentence lessened.
And I will begin to swear you in. Raise your right hand.
The first announced witness for the 116th Congress is a guy who is going to prison in 2 months for lying to Congress.
Some will certainly ask if Mr.
Yes, it is.
Okay, it's not. I have fixed, but I am no longer your fixer, Mr. Trump.
Cohen has since cleared Trump of a few accusations and is due to surrender on March 6th. While the nation's eyes were on Cohen's testimony, President Trump was in Vietnam, trying to strike a deal with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. President Trump claims him and Kim overcame hostility. Trump says he, quote, just wanted to do the right deal, which may be why the summit was cut short with no deal in sight.
It is not that important to me. I very much appreciate no testing of nuclear, rockets, missiles, any of it. Very much appreciate it.
The Trump administration is looking for complete and irreversible denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. And while North Korea is asking for removal of sanctions, only time will tell what is to come between the two countries.
Senator Mitch McConnell says Trump should be commended, and this sentiment found its way across the aisle as Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer agreed with his Democratic colleague.
Though I don't know the details yet, and I look forward to speaking with Secretary Pompeo, I was pleased to see the President recognize North Korea's unwillingness to strike a comprehensive deal. President Trump did the right thing by walking away and not cutting a poor deal for the sake of a photo op.
For the first time in history, the Chicago mayor will be an African-American woman. Toni Preckwinkle and Lori Lightfoot are the two fighting for the mayoral spot in the runoff election set to take place on April 2nd. Neither candidate received the required 50% to be elected mayor on Tuesday evening. William Daley, whose father and grandfather served as mayor of Chicago, came in third place. Both Preckwinkle and Lightfoot have resumed their campaigns with 1 month before the runoff. For the first time in decades, the House has passed substantial gun legislation. H.R. 8, the Universal Background Check Bill, passed with bipartisan support Wednesday. Currently, background checks only take place at licensed gun dealerships, leaving loopholes. This bill would make the sale of any gun without a background check illegal. Despite hope coming from the House, it is unlikely the bill will pass in the Republican-dominated Senate. From one policy change to the next, we now have our own Thomas Polson in the studio to tell us a little bit about his story on refugees in the area.
Thanks, Will. I was able to head over to the YMCA to learn more about how the latest policy changes have affected refugees in the area and what groups like Amnesty International are doing to help out. Amnesty International, a human rights group with chapters across the country, is showing us that something as simple as cookies and tea can unite people for a good cause. Tuesday evening, students and local residents came together in support of a cause that is becoming more and more important in the Champaign-Urbana community, refugees. With a constantly growing population of refugees in the area, Amnesty International member Domingo Casanova hopes to raise awareness of the cause and make a change in the community.
Right now, as you've just seen, is our I Welcome campaign. So we're trying to basically let people know what are the problems occurring with refugees, especially in the community or around the world, and just try to force through our resolution to get the city of Urbana to get this passed. Though the U.S. is still the country with the most refugees in the world, recent executive actions have decreased the number that are annually accepted. Amanda Watson, a speaker at the event, says that these developments are concerning.
The fact that we're allowing fewer and fewer refugees in every single year which has occurred under the current administration, is a reason that we want to address this now and that we believe it needs urgent action.
This initiative was signed by attendees of tonight's Amnesty in hopes that Urbana will become more friendly to refugees.
So we're really hoping to get this passed as a resolution in the city of Urbana. Last semester, some of our members lobbied in Springfield in order to get a gun control bill passed, and that bill was actually passed, I believe, in January. And so this is just an example of how effective this can be.
Now, if this resolution is passed, Urbana has the possibility of becoming the first non-major U.S. city with an active welcome resolution to take in refugees.
Thanks, Tommy. That's great to hear. It's good that we're looking to give a home to people who don't have a home.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fantastic. Thanks for your hard work. Black History Month has been filled with far-reaching racial controversy affecting politics, film, and music. Now local organizations are bringing back the activism of revolutionary leader Malcolm X to tackle systemic racism. Ariel Majeski reports about their first event kickoff.
And all we have to do now is wake up.
55 years later, Malcolm X's empowering words of black nationalism rang in people's ears last week. Many had only listened to excerpts of the Ballot or the Bullet speech before. Now they heard and responded to how all of his arguments applied to today's society now more than ever. The event was hosted by Black Students for Revolution, Speak Truth Collective, and CU's newest chapter of the Malcolm X grassroots movement. The speech acts as a foundation of how these groups will approach activism.
If we can apply the Ballot or the Bullet speech to activism today, I would think that it speaks to the systematic activism that needs to be addressed.
He wasn't scared to speak his mind for his
But it was the conversation held after that struck one professor, specifically how people were more comfortable expressing affirmative comments about black nationalism compared to what would have been said a decade ago.
And so I was impressed to see just how they've begun to think about this, and it tells me that the soil is indeed right for us to plant seeds around self-determination.
While many see these current times as an opportunity to start planting seeds of self-determination, there are attendees who had conflicting views of whether is this the right time for this type of activism, and will it make a greater impact overall?
Karen Aram is an anti-war and integrationist rooted in socialist beliefs. Based on her knowledge from Marxist books and living abroad for 28 years, she says fixing class conditions is the key to changing systematic racism.
Nothing is going to change unless you change the material conditions under which people exist, and that means tackling it as class.
The organizations are challenging for black nationalism to become part of the main political discourse. In Urbana, I'm Ariel Majeski, UI7 News.
Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are adding the growing threat of measles to their list of national issues. In the first 2 months of this year, there have been over 150 confirmed cases in the U.S. Experts from the CDC and the National Institutes of Health say that despite the eradication of this disease, many children who have not been vaccinated are being affected. Doctors say that if anyone has concerns about being vaccinated, they should consult their doctor or their child's pediatrician. Here's what we have coming up after the break. U of I campus prepares for unofficial St. Patrick's Day, the latest on campus police prep, shirts, and more.
But first, Alma Otter has made its way from the internet to the ballots. We'll explain after the break.
I need your help asking Jessica to prom.
Of course. Love is like the ocean. You have to tread the waters.
Dad, that's not the kind of help I needed. Hey, Jessica. Will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it. My support team never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew who I could become as a person. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back to UI7 News as we take a look at what's going on around campus. U of I students will have a question regarding the school's potential future mascot on their student election ballots next month. Illinois student government passed a referendum 24-1, with 4 abstaining on Wednesday night, adding a question to the ballot asking students if they approve of making Alma Otter an official symbol of the university. Chief of Staff Susan Cho said that students are ready for a new mascot, 12 years after the removal of Chief Illiniwick.
I explained last week that this referendum is an attempt to get the university, the administration aware of the fact that students are ready to move on and get a new mascot.
The potential mascot was introduced on a Reddit thread in December and will be voted on next month. Champ, a World War I doughboy, is also considered as a future mascot for the university.
After 10 years, one of the leading campus t-shirt stores has stopped production of unofficial apparel. This leaves us wondering, is the annual tradition dying? Campus Inc. has been printing t-shirts for U of I students since 1947 and has been known to sell shirts for the campus-specific holiday, Unofficial. Owner Steve Farrig, a former U of I student, decided to stop the sale of these shirts due to the belief that the party craze holiday could be phasing out. Farrig also mentioned that Campus Inc.'s sales of unofficial-related shirts have been decreasing in the last couple years. This could be due to the local government's attempts to contain the event, and campus bars only allowing 21-year-old entry on unofficial as opposed to the usual entry of the age of 19. Here's what Farrig had to say about the day as a whole.
I was a student here. It was fun, but at the same time, it's a high-risk day. It's a day where a lot of individuals come in from out of town. It's not a great, it's not a typical day for a student, and I think by this point, the students don't really care for it as much, just from my perspective. Looking back 10 years ago, it was just an over-dramatized day.
With Unofficial tomorrow, the University of Illinois Police Department has been preparing its office for the event due to how crazy it has been in the past. Wilbro caught up with the campus police.
Unofficial has died down in activity in the past few years. University and city officials are still working together to make sure that it is safe for everyone involved. According to the University of Illinois Police Communications Director Patrick Wade, the University Police Department has worked together with the Champaign Fire Department to make sure that balconies are not overcrowded in order to make sure no one falls off of them.
Don't mind, believe it or not, we don't mind if you want to have a good time on Unofficial, as long as you do it in a way that's responsible and respectful of our campus and the law.
Director of Student Legal Services, Thomas Betts, says that people who get into legal trouble more often during this time are students from other universities. He believes that the risk of legal trouble isn't worth it for students who attend this event.
Way too many cops here
And they're not going to just sit and twiddle their thumbs if they suspect something is going wrong, or even if, that person could be 19, could be 20, could be 21. Well, we're gonna stop them.
On Friday, there will be a lot of students, as well as students from other universities on Green Street. There will also be an abundance of the university police force patrolling up and down Green Street. U of I senior Brad Bickmore says that the hype of unofficial has died down in the past few years due to an increased presence of police on campus.
I think that right now it's kind of an overhyped holiday just because of how secret you have to be the entire day.
In Urbana, this is Will Bro with UI7 News.
It's a great package by a fellow Will. While unofficial is a controversial event on campus, that doesn't change the fact that many students will participate tomorrow. We have a few tips for those partaking in the celebration. First, drink responsibly and be sure to make a plan. Never drink and drive. Walking or public transportation are great alternatives. You should also regularly eat food and drink water. Remember that alcohol may cause you to dehydrate over the course of the day. Know your limits and pace yourself. There are countless alternatives to alcohol. And most importantly, look out for each other. Don't hesitate to call 911 if you or someone else is in trouble.
Music composer Renee Baker revisited the university to screen 2 historical silent films that will debut her new music scores. UI7 Chanel Newsom gives us an exclusive look inside the discussion.
2, ready, and
read.
The Social Archives and Center for American Music invites composer Renee Baker to discuss her new music scores and historic silent films in recognition of Black History Month.
You want to know why they ask it? You tell me why you asked it. What did you hear?
Director of Social Archives, Scott Strauss, gives us insight on Baker's style of musical composition.
The beauty of the musical expression comes from the diversity of individual expressions all brought together under the skillful hand of Renee Baker.
Today I get a chance to join in exclusively on Renee's Baker discussion as she talks about her music score in silent film, Borderline, right here in this classroom. Student from Illinois, Contonia Parks, also talks about her experience meeting music composer and how Baker's story is an inspiration to her. She does it because that's what she wants to do, and I thought it was just something to learn from.
Renee's style of music is considered creative music because there isn't one exact style of music. She uses a lot of different genres.
Baker continues to travel to classrooms across the Urbana-Champaign community to discuss how she uses music to bridge issues of race and identity.
I just love the process.
It's very diverse, of many different musicians from many different cultural backgrounds.
In Champaign, I'm Chanel Newsom, UI7 News.
Coming up after the break, Jacob Diaz has your full weather forecast to begin March.
Plus, the latest on Patriots owner Robert Kraft's investigation. UI7 News will return in just a bit. But first, this day in history.
It is no ordinary work which we are set to do, and it comes to us under no ordinary circumstances. We are not here to reproduce in this new locality some old and well-known style of college or university. The hungry eyes of toiling millions are turned with mingled hope and fear upon us to see what new and better solution we can possibly offer of the great problems on which their well-being and destiny depend.
Welcome back to UI7 News as we are ready to take it outside.
Let's bring it out to Jacob Diaz, who has the full weather forecast. We're hoping spring season's here soon. Jacob, you got any good news?
Thank you, Will. As you can see, things are getting a little chilly out here. We're expecting temperatures to get to about 22 tonight with some light winds out of the north-northeast. As we look ahead to tomorrow, temperatures are going to warm back up. About 41 degrees is the high. Mostly sunny skies. Should be pretty nice for everyone who's expecting to be out and about throughout the day. As we take a look at the local temperatures here, we had a high of about 31 today in Champaign-Urbana, and things are pretty much the same no matter where you are in the area. Taking a look at the Midwest again, temperatures pretty similar no matter where you are. Temperatures about 20s to the 30s, but if you're down near the Ohio River, just be aware there is a flood warning in effect in Paducah and in Louisville. The Ohio River has been getting a little high with all the recent rain, and there is some more rain expected to hit the area tonight into tomorrow. As we take a look at the national temperatures, things really aren't that great no matter where you are. Places like Seattle, Dallas, Boston, Atlanta, all expecting to see rain in the next day or two with some low temperatures. The only places where it's really nice, Arizona, Florida, where you got some spring training baseball going on. So if you're thinking of catching a game, now's as good a time as any. As we take a look at the 5-day forecast, Saturday, pretty much like Friday, partly cloudy skies, high of about 37, but then Sunday things start to take a turn for the worst, if I can get my words out. We're expecting to see some snow come through the area, highs of about 23 degrees, and then as we get back into the work week on Monday and Tuesday, make sure you're bundling up in the morning. Highs only expected to get to about 15 and 19 respectively, lows around 3 and 8 degrees. So hopefully you guys are staying warm in the studio, Will, and hopefully we'll start to see some warmer temperatures soon. That's it for me.
Thanks, Jacob. The owner of the Super Bowl champions, the New England Patriots, was charged with first-degree misdemeanor in a sex ring investigation. Robert Kraft paid for a sexual act that was recorded on a spa's camera in Jupiter, Florida, 2 days in a row. The spa is undergoing an extensive investigation that is proving that this ring may stretch from China to New York to Florida. Kraft's arrangement will take place Wednesday, March 27th. Kraft denies the accusations. We'll be taking a short break, but our own Jessica Potempa joins us for the latest in sports.
Thanks, Will. Coming up in sports, Illini baseball is off to a fast start, while Illini women's basketball had a heartfelt final home game honoring its seniors. Stay tuned for more sports after our break. Welcome back. I'm Jessica Potempa. This is your UI7 Sports Update. We start on the diamond with the newly ranked Illinois baseball team looking to remain undefeated this weekend. The Illini have begun the season 6-0 and completed a series sweep over the Florida Atlantic Owls last weekend in Boca Raton. Illinois brought out the brooms with an exciting 11-10 win over FAU last Sunday, as the win helped them push up the ranking as a top 25 team in the country. The offense is averaging about 7 runs a game, with seniors Jeff Cordy and Zach Taylor combining for 15 hits and 10 RBIs. Cordy and Taylor will lead the Illini to South Carolina, where they look to remain unbeaten and continue the hot start against 3 different schools. They'll first play number 20 Coastal Carolina this Friday in Conway, followed by a Saturday game with Northeastern. The Orange and Blue will end the trip down south in Myrtle Beach against the UConn Huskies on Sunday, and a second game versus Northeastern next Monday. With baseball underway, basketball is drawing a close. Before their final home game of the season against Penn State on Sunday, Illinois women's basketball honored 3 of its seniors, including one of the program's all-time best. Senior Alex Whittinger was joined by fellow classmates Jalen Kirkpatrick and Sarah Schuin as those recognized for their contributions to the team. Whittinger will finish her Illini career in the top 7 in points, blocks, rebounds, and double-doubles for the program. But she struggled with foul trouble in Illinois' loss to the Nittany Lions, finishing with just 12 points and 8 rebounds. Still, Whittinger said she has just been grateful for the chance to play in the orange and blue.
Yeah, I mean, we would have wanted a win for sure, but I'm still glad that I was able to play today.
And she means a lot to all of us. And I wish I could give her another year because she deserves it.
Whittinger helped lead the Illini this year to their first 10-win season since 2015. Illinois finishes its regular season at Maryland on Saturday before playing in the Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis next Wednesday. Moving from the hardwood to the pitch, we are 100 days away from the FIFA Women's World Cup in France, and the U.S. have begun preparations. The defending world champions began the She Believes Cup last night with a World Cup final rematch with Japan in Chester, Pennsylvania. With the score tied at 1 over an hour into the game, prolific striker Alex Morgan scored her 99th career goal to give the U.S. a 2-1 lead. Japan stole the victory away from the U.S. with a last-minute equalizer from Yuka Momiki. The U.S. women will look to bounce back from the draw when they play England in Nashville on Saturday. That is the UI7 Sports Update. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Jess. Moving to entertainment, R&B singer R. Kelly has been released from Cook County Jail after posting a $100,000 bail in Chicago. The 52-year-old singer faces 2 to 10 counts of aggravated sex abuse charges dating back to 1998 involving intercourse with underage minors. Kelly could face up to 70 years in prison if convicted on all accounts. The singer's next court date has been scheduled for March 22nd.
Many Jonas Brothers fans are burning up today and sending out an SOS after an exciting announcement. The three brothers have been teasing a possible return after 6 years, focusing on their solo careers and family. Today at 11 p.m., the Jonas Brothers released their first joint single since 2013, titled Sucker, leaving many fans wondering when the album will drop and when tickets for a tour will go on sale. Well, guys, that's all we have on the Jonas Brothers. Moving on, we got a big deal in sports that just broke right before we were going. It's on Bryce Harper. He made $13 million over, 13 years, $330 million. That's a big difference. It's one of the biggest contracts ever.
Yeah, it's actually it's a history-breaking contract. He signed with the Philadelphia Phillies for a 13-year contract, $330 million worth, breaking MLB history, Northern American sports history, and it's just huge. It shows how much of a hot commodity, I guess, Bryce Harper is. I know that the San Francisco Giants gave him a 10-year contract, turned it down, and he went with the Phillies. So exciting stuff for Bryce Harper.
Well, that's a lot of security, 13 years. Well, do you think he'd ever work for a place for 13 years?
I have no idea where I'm going to be in 13 years, to be honest with you. But Bryce Harper definitely brings a lot of injury. He's a fun player, so, you know, wish him the best.
Any predictions for the Phillies this year? A record?
I couldn't really tell you, honestly. I'm not too up to date when it comes to my knowledge of the NL East.
I'd be shocked if they got over 85 wins. That's my prediction. I know, I'm keeping the takes hot. All right, let's take a look at social media. That concludes today's edition of UI7 News. Make sure to follow us on UI7 News on Twitter, like Facebook, and subscribe on YouTube to stay up to date with the latest news. Thanks again for joining us this afternoon. Once again, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Jacob, do you have anything to say on the weather?
I just think tomorrow should be pretty nice, which is great for everyone who's going to be out and about all day. But man, next week's looking really cold. I really can't wait for some spring weather to start. I don't know about you guys. Absolutely. All this talk about baseball, you hope for some spring weather, some sun, maybe like 50s, 60s, but it's going to be brutal here next week, so make sure you guys are bundling up. I've still got my coat on.
Yeah, I feel pretty warm in this studio right now. So yeah. I was hoping that this warmth would translate to our weather as we look forward, but I'm not sure if that'll be the case.
No, I really doubt it, unfortunately.
What's it going to be tomorrow, 40?
Tomorrow it's going to be about 41. It should be kind of sunny, which is nice. Again, light winds shouldn't be too bad, but yeah, by the time Monday rolls around, we're looking under 20 highs, lows around 5. So not too great.
That's ridiculous. All right.
See you next time, Champaign-Urbana. For UI7 News, I'm Will Gerard.
And I'm Will Most. Thanks for joining us, and have a wonderful weekend and a happy March.